Hey guys, I'm Jared,
I'm Haven.
I'm Daniel.
and today we're going to be talking about is playing at a high level a prerequisite for success as a coach. So we're going to set this out as sort of a panel discussion and just hopefully persuade you guys into thinking that it's true in essence. So we're going to start off with you, Danny. Do coaches have a better understanding of their athletes if they have played at a high level, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Maquette 2013 did a study on 3 elite hammer throw athletes. So these guys were at the top level of their particular sport, which is hammer throwing, and they did a study during a training session with both the athlete and their coaches, and how during the training sessions when the athlete would experience different things such as highs, lows, mental fatigue, stress, all these different things that would play into why they couldn't throw the hammer as far as they could, how the coaches weren't able to understand because the coaches weren't actually ever been at that elite level. They never actually, got to a certain high in that sport. They just were able to coach the sport well. So that was where they almost had that little bit of that difference in the situational understanding between the coach and the athlete. And that's where I kind of think if you want to have a good understanding with your athlete, you need to have played the sport yourself. So Hatham, what evidence do you have at the moment that might show what makes a good player a good coach as well?
Well, there was a study done in England by Cameron actually in 2006, but wasn't recorded until 2015.
Yeah.
It took data from 15,000 games played in the NBA between 96 and 2004, and they showed that if you had played in an all-star game, which is a representative game halfway through the year for the sport of basketball, if you had played in an all-star game, you had a winning percentage of about 49%, whereas if you didn't actually play at that time or you hadn't played at all, you only won about 37% of your games. And I mean, this could be seen because people like Phil Jackson was coaching the Bulls at that time and transitioned from the Bulls to the Lakers, and he was winning quite a few games in that. And there were a couple of other players as well. But I mean, Ryan's actually did a study in 2014 just showing that they're actually they have a lot more ability to be fast-tracked into coaching as well. I mean, they've just got a lot of prior knowledge and a lot of all that basic understanding of the game, so they're actually able to be fast-tracked into coaching roles a lot better. You can see that with people like Bill Russell of the Celtics, who actually had to take over his coaching role, while he was still playing.
Yeah.
Won 2 championships with that team. People like Larry Bird actually got fast-tracked from the Celtics into the Indiana Pacers coaching, and now is head of basketball operations. And people like Rick Carlisle, who actually got cut, and in that same breath, the GM actually wanted him to come back and take over an assistant role.
Oh, okay.
So there are plenty of opportunities for these athletes to actually go into a coaching role if they understand the game enough.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like if you didn't understand the game enough, then you wouldn't be able to coach. So a GM would actually understand, and a player would understand the game enough that he would actually be able to coach.
Yeah,
but
having that knowledge to know the sport.
Exactly. But I mean, I don't know of any coaches actively coaching. Do you know of any?
Yeah. So we move from basketball onto tennis. We can talk about Tony Roach, who is a world-class player in himself, made a couple of Grand Slam finals. He coached Ivan Lendl to world #1 status. So then from there, Ivan Lendl has actually been coaching Andy Murray for the past 2 or 3 years, and he's been helping Andy Murray to all the success that he has had. So it's just another example from what Hatham was saying. So Danny, how do we know that the coaches know what it takes?
Well, the Jacobs 2009 actually wrote an article about the 10,000 hour rule. So the 10,000 hour rule really applies to if you want to be good at anything, you've got to put the time and the effort into training at least 10,000 hours to actually master that certain thing that you want to do, whether it be just playing sport, could be coaching, could be other things outside the sport, things in computer works, carpentry, so anything like that. So the way it really applies to coaching, if a coach has that 10,000 hours of either coaching experience or even better would be the actual playing experience where they know what it takes to win in their sport and to succeed in their sport, they're going to be able to give that hours of experience that they've gained to their athlete, and that will make them even 10 times better. When they've got that sort of that first-hand experience.
Yeah, they've got that base of knowledge.
Yeah, exactly right. So Hatham, can a high profile for a coach, can that have almost a bit of a negative effect on people in the team as well?
Well, I mean, stardom can get to anyone, but I mean, if a coach is smart enough and has been in the game a long time, he knows how to actually manage this. People like Phil Jackson actually showed this the best because he managed the Bulls while they were still in a high profile. Obviously, Michael Jordan being one of the greatest players alive at that time, was being coached by a lot of other people and wasn't getting to the position that he thought. They brought in Phil Jackson. They thought, here we go, they're going to get to such a high level, and eventually they actually did succeed in that. But what he did was he actually did a lot of breathing training, a lot of management of the players, and a lot of the egos, and just told them their roles, and actually was able to manage the players and not so much coach them.
Oh, yeah.
There was also a study done by Wade in 2015 that just showed that like a lot of coaches that just come in, they actually have a higher winning percentage anyway. People like Scott Brooks has a 61% winning average over his coaching time. Like I said, Rick Carlisle has a 58%, and people like Doc Rivers have 54%.
A good success rate.
Yeah, so it's a great success rate. So I don't think it should have a negative success, have negative implications on the team.
Yeah.
But I mean, it always could. Another thing is there were a couple of articles by No and Roach in 2006 that actually showed that players trust, the GMs trust as well, that these guys can actually bring success and show a better way of leading the players into these sort of successful roles, and the internal hiring system of that is actually quite good because they'll talk to the players as well and just try to find a better way of managing everyone. So I think it will actually do that. But do you think that high-profile coaches will be able to manage their players in the same way, or do you think?
So yeah, I feel like the high-profile coaches will be able to manage their high-profile players. Obviously, as you just stated, with their egos, they know how to manage. They've been through that process themselves. They know how to manage. Like, they've gone past their ego phase. Now they're seeing someone else in that phase. They'll know how to manage that a lot better. Also, the players just trust coaches that have a known track record. There was a study done by Smith 2014 of elite rugby players that showed that coaches with previous playing experience actually had a positive effect on the ways of thinking of the players. So the coach would depart some knowledge onto the players. The players would actually believe what they're saying is true, and it's for the best for the player and for the best for the team. That's what the study showed.
Yeah. Okay.
So do we think, guys, that even current athletes could be coaches for maybe just kids who are in the fundamental stage?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think elite athletes that are presently playing definitely have a lot to offer to the younger generation, especially really young kids who are just starting off. So an example of this would be the Greater Western Sydney Giants. They were always constantly running training camps and school programs where they get their elite players to go out to these schools and actually teach really basic fundamental skills like hand-eye coordination, a little bit of footwork skills to kids who really have never really tried AFL before or really haven't really shown much of an interest. But this is where this kind of helps and brings them into their sport, and might even make them one day actually, where they see that elite level, they might actually want to aspire to be in that elite level, or even the coaching side as well.
Well, I mean, based on that, there's plenty of examples in basketball as well, with like people like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, a lot of the other players as well will run camps, but even people like Michael Jordan, who, as high profile as he is, will actually go to his camps and help these kids and run with them and play with them and participate and just show them how to play the sport on a very base level, to show that everyone has to start somewhere. He'll share his experiences as well, as will these other players, and just let them know that like they actually all had to start somewhere, and they all had to start training somewhere. So, I mean, yeah, what about you?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same with soccer. I know the Western Sydney Wanderers do a lot of local gala days for kids, so they'll have a few of their strikers or forwards or someone go out to a ground at a gala day for one of the kids, and just like you said, share their experiences, show them that everyone has to start somewhere, start kicking the ball around with the kids. Also, there was actually a study done on this by Strand in 2014 that showed that kids who came into contact with elite players were actually 40% more likely to go and sign up to a local club to play that sport maybe the next year or in the next within the next 6 months to 12 months in that period.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, you can pretty much see that there are a lot of positive effects of athletes getting straight into coaching, and there is a reason why they're getting fast tracked into it. I mean, it must have a positive effect, but otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. So, I mean, there are a lot more positives than negatives, I feel. So,
yeah. They just have elite athletes have so much to bring to the realm of coaching. It's not just always about figuring out what the athlete's actually doing wrong technically. It's a lot to do with their mental side, and I think that's where an elite athlete can bring that when they've had that experience and they've gone through all that, and especially with that, building up that many hours of experience, they just know what to do.
And I think that's why there's so much success and there's a proven track record. And I mean, players and athletes wouldn't go into coaching if they didn't think they can do it, and GMs wouldn't hire them if they couldn't. So there must be a success somewhere. So
that's just about wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. We're good. Thanks, Dale.